Good evening, America. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Just the News, No Noise. I'm your host, Amanda Head, coming to you live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And my co-host and editor-in-chief, John Solomon, he's out on assignment tonight, but he's going to be back here with me tomorrow. All right, let's get to some breaking news that came out just a few hours before we started the show. President Trump is set to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, as well as Ukrainian President Zelensky. The meeting is reportedly set to happen as soon as next week, and he's planning to meet with Putin one-on-one first, and then following up with another meeting with both Putin and Zelensky. Now, President Trump apparently disclosed all of this information on a call with European leaders. And this all comes after President Trump praised a meeting that his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, had with President Putin earlier today. And he characterized it as highly productive and also said that great progress was made. So will this all lead to an end to the war? I really, really hope so. All right, changing topics now to all of the drama surrounding the state of Texas and the GOP's efforts to redistrict there. We are still seeing a lot of hyperbole and spinning from the media. Take this from Jake Tapper.
If you look at the map, right, you have some exceptions like Illinois. There's blatant Democratic gerrymandering. But most of the worst offenders when it comes to gerrymandering are Republican states.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, very fair and balanced, don't you think? All right. But trust me when I tell you that is far from the worst thing that has been said about this issue. Here is Democrat Congressman Greg Casar explaining that this is all a part of a nefarious Republican plot.
Trump has already said that he wants to go and gerrymander Ohio and then Missouri. And we can't let that happen because voters should be able to hold Trump accountable for his corruption and crimes. Trump is trying to make sure that he rigs the midterm election before we ever get to cast a vote.
Okay. So now it is about rigging the midterm elections. I guess Democrats are suddenly concerned that elections could be rigged again now that they aren't in power. And a lot of Democrats are on the same page when it comes to that narrative. The governor of one of the worst gerrymandering states in the entire country, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, coincidentally the same state where many of the Texas House Democrats fled to, he went on the Stephen Colbert Show to complain that this is actually all about stealing the midterms.
Well, Donald Trump's trying to steal 5 seats from the people, frankly, of the country, not just the people of Texas, and disenfranchise people. We're talking about, violating the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution.
But it actually gets so much worse than that, believe it or not. Former Democrat, Texas Senate and presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke, that would be Robert Francis O'Rourke, weighed in on what would happen if Democrats fail to stop redistricting in Texas.
If we fail, the consolidation of authoritarian power in America will be nearly unstoppable. That means more masked, plainclothes federal agents without badges or warrants sweeping our fellow Americans up off the streets. It means more retribution and persecution and even violence for Trump's political opponents. And it also means that a Republican majority Congress with these 5 stolen seats, if we allow them to succeed, will roll out the royal red carpet for a Trump third term. So this is literally for all the marbles.
So it's not just that President Trump and Republicans are trying to rig or steal the midterm elections. Now it is that they are trying to create a dictatorship. It is the same thing that Democrats were saying during President Trump's first term. And it's actually what the evidence is now showing some Democrats tried to do during Trump's first term with Russiagate, trying to subvert democracy and the will of the American people. But hold that thought, actually, because MSNBC's Rachel Maddow weighed in on what is going on with Russiagate. And when you know it, she says that it is all evidence of Trump and Republicans being dictators and authoritarians.
Whether you're looking at small-scale local stories or the biggest picture stories about what's happening in our country, the story is the same, and it is now an undeniable thing. We have crossed a line. We are in a place we did not want to be, but we are there. The thing we were all warning about for the last few years is not coming, it is here. We are in it. We have a consolidating dictatorship in our country. And it sounds melodramatic to say it, I know.
Yes, it does. And I've made this point before. Is this how the media, this is how they think they're going to win the trust of the American people back? If it is, I think that they are going to be in for quite a shock next year. All right, everybody, let's get to our very first guest of the night. He represents the great state and the beautiful state of Utah. He's also a former NFL player and Super Bowl champion. I am, of course, talking about Congressman Burgess Owens. Congressman, thanks so much for being here.
Amanda, looking forward to chatting with you for sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely, sir. All right. So as you gaze on what is happening in Texas, I feel like a lot of Americans, at least Trump supporters and maybe some people down the center, they look at, because a piece of the clip that we didn't show with J.B. Pritzker and Stephen Colbert was they were holding up a gerrymandering map, and they were talking about how ridiculous some of these district shapes were. And they were Democrat. This is a Democrat state. So Democrats are the worst offenders. But it seems to me that Democrats are just mad that in Texas, Republicans have figured out how to fight as dirty as they do.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. First of all, thanks to Amanda. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. I'll say this. What the Democrats are lacking is wisdom. They just have no respect for the American people. They believe that all they have to do is say something and we're going to believe it. And for a while it worked. I would say for decades it worked. But one thing about the American people, once we realize we're being lied to on purpose, we don't like it. We turn another way. 40 years ago, I turned away from the Democratic Party because I realized we're being lied to. So I'll say this: the upside of the MAGA movement, the Trumps, the America First, is that we're hopeful, we're positive. We're putting out things like the one big beautiful bill that allows American dream to prosper, to the middle class to grow. And by the way, those are the things that's going to really help us to show who's really being honest or not. We now have in place something that's not hypothetical anymore. So as we deal with all these issues, we're going to realize that they are about hyperbole. They just love to overstate, and American people are getting tired of it. So we're going to continue moving forward. I'm excited about the process for sure.
I know you are. I want to ask you about some of these folks who have been subpoenaed to come up to Capitol Hill. Now, this is, of course, regarding Epstein, but I know that there are a lot of folks who want to get answers from this list of people on a lot of different items. So Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Merrick Garland, James Comey, Bob Mueller, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, Bill Barr, Alberto Gonzales, Jeff Sessions. Hearings are going to begin in about 2 weeks. When it comes to finally getting answers on Epstein, look, the Trump base is, I think, pretty split on this. You've got a group of people who are absolutely voraciously seeking answers on this, and some people who are saying, look, there's a lot of good things happening in this country. We just passed the one big beautiful bill. Let's focus on the good things. Where do we land on this?
Well, we land with trying to find the truth. At the end of the day, I'm glad to have those folks that are going to be in front of the American people and give them their answers to something that we've been wondering about for quite a while. I think what the Democrats don't recognize is that they're digging a deeper hole for themselves. They're going to find out that folks like the Clintons are complicit in so many bad things that it's going to dig again the Democratic Party into a deeper hole. Meanwhile, we're going to continue to deliver to the American people more positive things, allow them to dream about being part of the middle class, having running a business, educating their kids. I mean, all the things that American dream is all about. We're going to be able to provide that. So again, they will continue on this pathway of negative and darkness. We're going to, I would say this, to have those folks in front of the American people will be good because they have not had a chance to do this in the past. So it'll be great to see what kind of response we get back from them in this particular area.
Absolutely. I want to stay on this for just one more moment because I feel like I am perceiving a type of fatigue happening in this country because you have Democrats who are, desperately hoping to get the Epstein list out because they think that Donald Trump is on it. You've got Ghislaine Maxwell, who is telling Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche that she actually never witnessed Trump doing anything that she was uncomfortable with. And then you have, this story from a few weeks ago that there was a letter in a compilation of letters, a notebook or a book or something that was given to Jeffrey Epstein that had a letter in it that was signed by Donald. Now, we all know what Donald Trump's signature looks like. It was nothing close to this, but it just seems so desperate. And it didn't last long in the news cycle, again, because I think people are they're tired of it. Do you get that sense as well?
Well, we're tired of dealing with issues that really don't matter to American people. What are we after, Amanda? We want safety. We want to be able to build our business. We want our kids to be smart, to leave a legacy. We want to live the American dream. And that's what we're after. So they will continue this process. I think what's interesting is you're going to see the Democratic Party being part of this, all this bad stuff that we're seeing swirling around us, whether it be the Russiagate, whether it be Epstein. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the dark side of the Democratic Party you're going to find out in a big piece of this. And meanwhile, we're going to continue to do those things American people have sent us here to get done, build our coalition to where folks in the past have never thought about the Republican Party, but now agree with our values. And we're going to start to continue to build our party out and move forward. I'm excited about that process because I think the next couple of years, it's going to be so much fun for Americans that finally see what hope feels like again.
Yeah, and I think that it's going to be great when the American people can finally get some answers on what has happened to Donald Trump basically since he came down the golden escalator, since the inception of his campaign. So, Congressman, forgive me for a moment. I'm just going to kind of brief my audience on everything that we've talked about the last few days. So for our audience, many of you have heard the name Mike Morell. He is the guy who authored and coordinated this letter of 51 intelligence officials who claimed that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. And we now know from Jerry Dunleavy's reporting here at Just the News that in 2016, again, Mike Morell, he apparently loves writing letters, gaggled a group of about 50 or so national security experts to attest to the fact that Donald Trump was basically a puppet of Putin. I believe he used the term agent of Putin's Russia. So we've got this guy, Mike Morell, Congressman, who now seems to be placed in a conspiracy that has happened over 2 elections now. Democrats are still denying it. I'm still hearing them say, well, this is, this is unvetted information. We don't even know if it's true. How on earth, when you are faced with this information that came out of something that was classified and attached to a report that, by the way, the contents of which Democrat used for talking points, how can they then say this doesn't matter, it's not true?
Well, we have receipts. And I want to say this. There is a sector of American people that are Democrats, good people. They want to live the American dream. They want us to move together. They have been hoodwinked by the hard left. They've been hoodwinked by the Marxists, the ones who hate faith, family, free market education. And I'll tell you what that group does when they finally realize that they're being lied to. They get upset. They leave the party that's been lying to them, and they might not become Republicans, but they begin to become more independent. They begin to have conversations about where they really should land, and that's going to be good for our country. So what's happening is that we've had a group of people who never thought there would be consequences. They never thought that what they would do would one day come back on them. They're so arrogant that they thought they would get away with this. Well, what happens, truth always comes out. The light will always shine on truth, and that's what we're seeing right now. So these folks who have been very elitist, been very much in terms of thinking they can control everything, they're going to now be dealing with the same justice that most people deal with. And I look forward to that process. And some of them need to be wearing orange suits and giving their time in a different place so the rest of America realize this is the way our law and order does work. It's fair, it's just, and nobody's above the law.
That's right. You have to set that precedent. Otherwise, there is absolutely no deterrence. Sir, just a little while ago, Apple announced that they are investing another $100 billion into the United States, into manufacturing. I know that this is something that you have championed as a part of President Trump's agenda, bringing these companies, reshoring them, repatriating companies and their manufacturing back to this country. How does that get passed down to the American people? When you have a $100 billion injection of investment back into this country, how will the American people feel it?
I mean, I'll just say this. We're going to look back on this window of time and realize how blessed we were to see it, to see our country come back from the abyss, and to see a president who understands what really drives this country. It's called the middle class. What makes our country, our culture so unique, what brings people here is the promise of one day being part of the middle class. And what builds the middle class? Business owners. Those are the ones that take the risk. They go out and build their business. They hire people, and all of a sudden, the middle class begins to just expand. Well, President Trump understands because of the value of it, countries need to pay to have access to it. So now we're looking at having tariffs coming in, I think over $300 billion coming in this coming year, being able to take pressure off our internal revenue and do external revenue. These are concepts that we have not talked about, but because we have a genius of a president who loves our country, we're now seeing what it looks like to truly put the American people first. So we now have access to business ownerships that will have outside. They'll be able to export their goods like they never have before. We'll be able to do things so we're secure. We have supply chains built right here. I think our biggest issue will be over the next couple of years, how do we build a workforce? Right now we're deficit. We have not been training our kids and our people how to do anything but go to college. So the skills now that we're going to need to build these businesses, to do the basic infrastructure process is now we have to work on. And we're going to do that now with the Congress we have that's truly focused on making sure our kids come out being able to get a middle class excited about our country, being able to think, collaborate, and even when we disagree, to do it respectfully. That's what our goal should be, and we're going to get that done with our focus on education right now.
I love that. Sir, before I let you go, as a former professional athlete, I know that the presidential fitness test is probably something that you're excited about seeing injected back into schools across this country. Do you think this is going to make a dent in the epidemic of obesity in children?
Oh, no question about it. I will always have to wonder, why did Obama decide to take that out? That makes no sense. No, I was just talking with my staff just recently. When I was a kid, there was a big deal on this one. I remember they used to just have commercials. This guy would get down and do push-ups and sit-ups.
Right.
And guess what? I ended up having a little bar in my bedroom that I would sit there and do isometrics because it was something that was driving us to do good things.
Yeah.
So we have to get back to being proud of being in shape, to be proud of the work that goes into it, and the self-sacrifice and the long-term thinking. All that does is, again, it gives us more of an idea of how to have successful habits in other areas. So I'm excited about it. I think we have a president that's doing it in so many different ways, bringing our country back in terms of our culture, and physical fitness is a big piece of that for sure.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that you were always passing with flying colors when it came to the presidential fitness test. Utah Congressman Burgess Owens, thank you so much for being here tonight, sir. Great to see you.
All the best. Take care.
Thank you, sir. All right, everybody. After the break, Democrats are losing their minds over Texas Republicans and their redistricting efforts. So we're going to get to some of the absolutely absurd things that they are saying about it next.
Hey folks, in today's world of misinformation and political spin, it's more important than ever to support organizations that put truth and values first. That's why I support and belong to AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. They're the conservative alternative to AARP, and they're working to preserve faith, family, and freedom, three things that matter to all of us. AMAC members get valuable benefits, discounts on healthcare, travel, and health insurance, exclusive online resources, and a subscription to AMAC's beautiful magazine, one of the best reads out there for an informed patriot like you and I. And all of this is available for as little as $1.20 a month with a 5-year membership. That's what I have, a 5-year membership. Join me. Join the movement today. Visit amac.us/justnews and help AMAC protect America's future.
Welcome back, everybody, to Just the News, No Noise. The hysteria from the media and Democrats around the state of Texas and their redistricting efforts is reaching a point so ridiculous that I don't even have words for it, and that does not happen often. And because of that, I'm just going to show you what I mean. Here was Texas State Rep. Yolanda Jones on with Don Lemon. Just listen to what she compares all of this to.
And then integration happened and everybody thought they accept us. They don't accept us. They are showing us who they are. We should believe them. And we better have the courage to stand up. Otherwise, we will fall for anything. And in this country, we will be defeated, deported. I mean, we will lose all of our rights. And if you think it can't happen, it can. And I will liken this to the Holocaust. People are like, well, how did the Holocaust happen? How was somebody in a position to kill all them people? Well, good people remain silent.
Absolutely shameful and egregious comparison. No, you cannot compare this to the Holocaust. But let's give State Rep. Yolanda Jones the benefit of the doubt. I think that what she was trying to say is that Republican governance will lead to something akin to the Holocaust in America, and redistricting in Texas will help that effort, which of course is equally ridiculous. But joining me now to talk about all of this is Texas State Representative Briscoe Cain. Representative, thanks so much for being here.
Howdy, Amanda.
Sir, I got to say, I'm just going to call a spade a spade. It just kind of seems to me like Democrats are upset that Republicans are playing the same game that they have for a very long time.
No, the theatrics are amazing, especially coming from Representative Yolanda Jones, a fantastic trial attorney in her own right, but also, you may not know this, I believe she was on season 1 of Survivor. I think she was the first kicked off the island. Yeah. And she's going to come back here to Austin and find out that she's going to lose. Ultimately, what they're doing is truly futile. And history shows that. And they broke quorum in 2004. They broke it in 2021. And the Republican delegation in Texas House alone grew after each one. And we still did the things that they ran from. All this really is just a massive fundraising stunt. And I think that this time we finally just need to vacate their seats.
Yeah, I by the way, I think that is preferable to arresting them, because just what you just said about them fundraising, if you arrest them, I feel like they're going to use that to fundraise out the wahoo. But if you just vacate their seat, then to me, it just kind of fizzles out and they can't really fundraise off of that. But
you nailed it on the head. In fact, there are some, I know of at least 3 in Houston, and I'm told some people are afraid to go get them because it would turn them into heroes. I'll
Yes.
just tell you, they're elderly members of the legislature, and people say no one wants to arrest grandma, essentially.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. We didn't get sent here not to do that, and I think it
Right.
should actually happen. And they need to be really careful on how they're doing this fundraising or accepting benefits, because some of it really smells like legislative bribery. In fact, in the penal code, it prohibits people from accepting or offering things of value in exchange for a vote or some official legislative action. And that's exactly what we're seeing here.
All right, so you filed a House bill to vacate these seats. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, currently, we can see people as such as abandonment. And the governor has filed a lawsuit, in fact, with the Texas Supreme Court seeking those seats to be vacated, and so is the Texas Attorney General. But one way to get that done, because that's a judicial thing, and the courts will have to weigh these balances to determine whether or not that seat's been vacated. But how about let's just set a line in the sand. 7 consecutive days, your seat is declared vacant. Now, I've received a lot of feedback. Something is shorter, but hey, we're not even saying for breaking quorum. You have 7 unexcused absences. It's really easy to get an excuse. You just ask somebody to say you've got important business in the district, you've got some legitimate reason. But instead, let's just go ahead and set a fine line, say 7, you're out. You're declared vacant. Let the governor call a special election and let somebody who really wants to work come do the work for the people of Texas.
Absolutely. So how many days have they been out on their escapade across the states of Massachusetts and Illinois and New York and wherever else?
Well, they flew off on those private jets, something that the rest of us don't have the privilege
climate
of doing, on Saturday. And so they've been broken quorum since then. However, since we've had 6 Democrats return, and we actually need 6 more. We don't need that many. We just need 100 to make quorum. Texas is one of 4 states in the country remaining that has a 2/3 quorum threshold. There's 150 members of the House, and we need 100 members to do business.
So, as I understand it, this would give if the districts are redistricted the way that Republicans would like them to be and the way that Democrats obviously do not want them to be, it would give Republicans 5 more seats. Is that right?
That's theoretically correct on paper. Essentially, though, what we're doing is correcting what I believe to be unconstitutional gerrymandering and making the state's congressional districts reflect our quickly growing population. Lots changed in the last 5 years. We had an open and porous border, millions of people coming from there, and also people fleeing those liberal states coming here. And of course, we believe that the map should reflect that, and of course, to allow Texans to vote for the party or person of their choice. And that's the idea. Sadly, they've run off on far more than just redistricting. The governor convened this special session for a lot of reasons, one of them being the tragic floods that happened on July 4th, where 135 Texans tragically lost their lives, and all those girls there at Camp Mystic. But the Democrats have run off. Now, if you watch them on the media, they say, we've run off because they didn't prioritize that. Well, we're conducting hearings on it right now, and we could pass that bill this week if they weren't gone. We could do other things as well, like getting women protected in their private spaces, spending restraints on local governments, property tax relief, which is one of the top things people are demanding, yet their representatives, that party, is fled.
Yeah. I want to ask you about one of the funding efforts behind Democrats. So Robert Francis O'Rourke, as he likes for everyone to call him, Beto O'Rourke, he's got this funding mechanism. I think it's his political group who is funding some aspect of this. I got to be honest, I didn't even know that Beto O'Rourke was still out there in the political sphere. I thought that you guys had quashed him a long time ago. But is this legal for him to be funding this?
I'm not sure. I mean, that's why a grand jury needs to be convened to look into it. Look, let's pretend for just a hypo, they're going, hey, I don't know if I can afford to be gone, or they're giving me $500 a day, and Bobby Francis comes in and says, hey, I'll take care of it if you'll break quorum. That kind of sounds like bribery to me. Now, I'm not sure of it, but at a minimum, a grand jury should investigate it, because the people have a right to have, people doing legal things.
Yeah. So I learned a startling fact following the 2024 election. I think that this news came out within weeks because we started getting the raw numbers from the election. And it was that New York came closer to turning red than Texas did to turning blue. I think President Trump won that state by 13.4 points or 14.3 points. I'm a little dyslexic, but it's somewhere in that ballpark. That's a huge chunk, and that was added since the 2020 election. That margin grew since the 2020 election. That, to me, reflects the best reason, and it kind of dovetails from what you were saying earlier. That's the best reason that this stuff needs to be redistricted, because it doesn't reflect what is happening now.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the districts need to reflect the people, and that's the exact idea of us doing it. Our population's changed tremendously. In fact, we have a one-man, one-vote policy. And under federal case law, they almost have to be exactly the same. In fact, the number right now is 766,987. Exactly. Either one person or one person less than that. It's exactly how it needs to be. And our population is much bigger, and so we need to make sure that there's equal representation, and that's why we're here trying to redistrict.
Yeah. Representative, before I let you go, the one talking point that I hear from Democrats is that now is not the time. Redistricting should be done, but this is in the middle of a cycle, and this is not the time to be doing it. You're breaking precedent. But as far as I can tell from Texas state law, you can do it now just fine.
That's correct. The U.S. Constitution leaves that up to the states, and we are within our right to do so. And of course, you know better than that. They're just making noise as some excuse not to do it. And it's far past time that we do it. We need to enact the MAGA agenda here in Texas and just kick the Democrats down the road.
Yeah. Texas State Representative Briscoe Cain, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
God bless.
Same to you. All right, everybody. Next, John is going to be back for our weekly Just the News health update, and he takes a deep dive into the rising chronic disease level in America. Why is it happening? We're going to get you that answer after the break.
Hey folks, if you're a homeowner like me, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is their target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. And that's when the problems begin, because they start taking out loans using your equity and even sell your property. And you're not even going to find out it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice months later. That's a nightmare, right? So when's the last time you checked on your home title? Well, if you're like me, the answer is never, right? You need to do something about that right now. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code JTN at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes that might happen, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. That's a good deal. Find out why I trust Home Title Lock. Go to HometitleLock.com and use the promo code JTN. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code JTN. All right, folks, time for our weekly Just the News health update, brought to you by my good friends at NativePath. Everybody's talking about health, so it's a really good thing that we have this segment. And specifically, why are we seeing such an explosion of chronic health conditions? We talk about it a lot. I'd like to get to the bottom of that. We're lucky to be joined today by the co-founder and chief culture officer at NativePath, our good friend, Dr. Chad Walding. Doctor, good to have you back on.
Hey, John, so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
It is a great time in America that we're having a health conversation, not just every so often, but almost daily now with what the FDA and CDC and HHS is doing. And I think a lot of people are waking up to these trend lines that have been there for a long time, but we weren't really thinking about them, particularly the rise in chronic disease. What is it? Are we just getting sicker, or are we diagnosing more? What's behind this rise in chronic disease stats?
It's such a good question, too. And maybe it's a little bit of both. We probably are diagnosing more, and I do think we're getting sicker. I think this is the most important question, too, which is why it's actually happening. And if we look at the changes that have happened in the past 100 years, there's been a rise in heart disease over the past 100 years. There's been a rise in cancer. There's been a rise in obesity. There's been a rise in all these metabolic diseases, depression, emotional issues, like you name it, no matter what it is, it's almost all gotten worse over the past 100 years. So like, why is that? You know, are we getting lazier? Are genetics just failing us all of a sudden?
Right.
And something that really caught my eye early on when I started really getting into nutrition and health and what was going on with humans was what happens when orcas are held in captivity. So, orcas, these are shamus in SeaWorlds all across the country, and they're now phasing them out, right? Because you may have heard that orcas started attacking their trainers, but there was other issues going on with orcas that really caught my attention. And one was that orcas in captivity started having floppy fins, right? All across the country.
Really?
But the interesting thing is you never see orcas with floppy fins out in the ocean, right? So they started looking into this, and they're like, why is this happening when orcas are in captivity? And they started looking at the differences when orcas are in SeaWorld versus the wild ocean, right? And in SeaWorld, they swim in small, shallow containers, little tanks, right? They only go to certain depths, whereas in the ocean, they can go as deep as they want, right? And they also, in SeaWorlds, they eat, of course, orca food from the food industry that is deficient in nutrients and minerals like collagen and things like that, so it makes the fin weaker, right? And they're also swimming in one direction, counterclockwise direction. They only swim in one direction versus both directions, so they're only getting a force on one side of the fin. Right? The point of this is like the floppy fin is not because of the orca's genetics, right? It doesn't happen in the wild. It has everything to do with the environment the orca is placed in. And we have to step back a little bit and look at humans and what's been happening over the past 100 years and realize that we are living in what I refer to as a human zoo. We're not eating the same way our great-great-grandparents ate. We're certainly not moving the same way they ate. We're not living the way they ate. So while people point to all these little things like, is it the seed oils? Yes, that has something to do with it. Is it the sugar? That has something to do with it. Is it GMOs? Is it the air? Is it the water? All of these things have something to do with it. I like to lump it into one big thing and say we're no longer obeying the laws of nature, right? And the secret to health, where I think healthcare needs to go, is to look at that. What are humans meant to be eating? How are we meant to be moving? How are we meant to be living? Let's start there. Let's make that the foundation and work our way out. And I think we'll get a lot more answers that way.
It's just amazing. And that orca analogy, I think, really makes everybody say, now it brings it home for me. I get it. Now, baby shamus, baby orcas are having a problem too, because we're seeing an extraordinary rise in chronic conditions among young adults, particularly obesity, depression, high cholesterol, which no one ever thought of in your 20s or 30s, but now we're seeing it. What is driving that, and how can we help the next generation avoid a health cliff?
Well, one of the biggest things I think is the quality of our food, right? We are bombarded by fake, refined, processed foods, really high in carbohydrates, right? It's spiking our blood sugar, it's messing up our metabolism, it's what's contributing to the heart issues, it's what's contributing to the obesity epidemic, right? So what we have to do is move back towards real whole food. It is the most important thing. If you do that, all the other things around your health start to get easier. Your skin clears up, your energy gets better, your digestion, everything starts to improve. So whole real food is the number one thing. And within that, really prioritizing protein. I can't stress that enough. And when I say protein, I mean real good, dense, nutrient, animal-based protein. I'm not referring to just like a bar or something like that. Getting back to animal-based protein because it's so satiating, and we actually burn fat when we consume protein. So that's really the centerpiece. And after that, it's other lifestyle issues like moving more, the sun, getting outside, getting good sleep, and these basic things that really need to be the foundation of our health.
All right, so one of the questions I have is, it seems like we have plenty of treatments, but not enough prevention. They'll give you a pill from the pharmaceutical industry, but we aren't really talking about how to change your diet and lifestyle in a meaningful way. How do we change that dynamic in our healthcare system?
Well, it's such a big issue. And I think within our healthcare system, food has to be part of the conversation. Movement and lifestyle has to be part of the conversation. I was just talking to a friend yesterday who went to the emergency room, and of course, they gave that person a pill and asked them, what other medications are they taking, but they never once asked, what are you eating? Like, what's actually going in your mouth that might be causing this problem? So I really feel like it's the foundation of what's going on within health that needs to be addressed from a doctor level. And what's great is I'm already hearing more podcasts and more research about doctors understanding the value of food, understanding the importance of exercise, nutrition, and getting outside and having these conversations with their patients. It's really incredibly important.
Yeah, Yeah, it is a change in dynamic that we haven't seen in a long time, so it's exciting to see it. All right, you mentioned protein, collagen, a big part of that. We see collagen deficiencies, particularly starting earlier in life, but certainly by the time you're in your 50s. Why is collagen so important, and how can Native Path play a role in this improved health for all of us?
Yeah, this is what we do here at Native Path. We educate you on these big issues that we're talking about. And what we do is we provide real, whole, pure supplements to help fill in the gaps with what's missing, right? And collagen is primary numero uno for me. It's the most abundant protein in the body. It's what makes up your hair, your skin, your nails. It even makes up your bones, your tendons, your gut lining. It's important for your brain and your nervous system. We make collagen on our own, but that process of manufacturing it internally begins to decline around the age of 20. By the age of, when we're in our 50s and our 60s, we're making about half as much as we did when we did in our 20s. And what's important to know is our ancestors got plenty of collagen because it was part of their natural diets. They would take the bones of animals, they would put it in soups and make broths and things like that. Because we're so deficient in protein in our modern culture, we're not getting near enough, and we're suffering it. We're suffering because of that, right? And as a physical therapist, I see what happens when the body breaks down, when the actual building blocks and the materials aren't available to that person. We get weaker, right? We age faster. We begin to have falls. Our bones become fragile. Yeah. So as far as the one thing that we can do that makes everything else easier, it's to start to supplement with collagen on a consistent basis. It's incredibly important.
I take Native Path 2 scoops a day. It's so easy. I just throw it in my coffee and I don't even think about it. But then I do think about it about every 3-4 months. I'm like, geez, I don't have arthritis anymore. My arm, when I broke it, healed quicker. I realize that it really works. Dr. Chad Walding, we are so lucky to have you as a partner here. What a great conversation today. Folks, if you want to join me and get a special bundle deal at Native Path for a fraction of the retail price plus free shipping, all you got to do is go to getnativepath.com/justnews. That's getnativepath.com/justnews. With over 4 million jars sold, thousands of 5-star reviews, and a 365-day money-back guarantee, this is your moment to take control of aging before the symptoms get worse for you. Go to getnativepath.com/justnews right now. We'll be right back.
While working with the school district psychologist who oversees benefits, she had acquired a bunch of different information and she had presented that to me in a meeting. I took that home and started to read through that. We recognized that one of the teachers was referencing a boy's name and boy's pronouns.
My first thought was, I think they put somebody else's information in here. I probably should notify them because this is not our daughter.
While Dan and Jennifer Mead were working closely with the Rockford School District, they came to find out that the district was socially transitioning their daughter, treating the girl as if she were a boy without telling her parents and actively hiding it from them.
All right, everybody, that disturbing clip that you just saw and heard, that was only part of the story of the Mead family who are challenging a secret transition policy from their daughter's school. And joining us to discuss more about exactly what happened are Dan and Jennifer Mead, as well as Senior Counsel at Alliance Defending Freedom, Kate Anderson. Guys, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For you, when you read that report and you said you thought that they had, mixed up, that this was another student, when you realized that it wasn't a mistake, I imagine that your stomach sank and your heart exploded and all those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think? Because you were in this initial meeting, right?
Yeah.
You were given this initial report.
Yes.
How was that for you?
Well, at first when we got it, we thought it was a mistake.
Sure.
That maybe two files had been merged. In fact, we tried to contact the person who was in charge of that material and ask them, was this a mistake? And they were silent and didn't respond. And so we immediately knew something was going on.
What prompted this meeting to begin with?
Our daughter was diagnosed with autism. And so we'd been working really close with the school Gotcha. Counselor to come up with the best program of assistance that the school could offer to help her academically, socially, just to make school the best experience possible.
Yeah. So because this topic has become so mainstream, unfortunately, we have all had to learn a lot of these statistics. And one of the statistics that I've learned is that children who have autism, they're at a higher propensity and likelihood for, or maybe even just more susceptible to this type of social engineering, let's call it. I would say targeting and victimizing. When you see something like this targeting your daughter, I would imagine that gives you an embittered feeling, maybe rage. How are you feeling?
It was definitely betrayed.
Yeah.
Shocked. Definitely hurt. Yeah, it was a complete shock.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 16 now.
My goodness.
Yeah.
When did this begin? Do you know?
Yeah, when she was 12 or 13, we think.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So, Kate, you are handling this case. I know that there are others as well, and this is just in Michigan, but the caseload that you have, are there similar characteristics? Is there a similar thread throughout all of these?
Absolutely. These policies where school districts are secretly transitioning kids, treating them as the opposite sex at school while hiding it from their parents, is spread across the country. If it's happening in Rockford, Michigan, it's happening everywhere in blue states and red states. And we're hearing from parents all the time. We have 5 cases that are sadly similar to this one, and there are more cases around the country. It's starting to bubble up to a point, though, where I think the courts are going to be able to weigh in and stop this. Parents are the ones that are supposed to direct their kids' education and upbringing, and these policies really drive a wedge between parents and their kids and keep those parents from being able to do what's best for their kids.
Yeah. So I know that there was a provision in the One Big Beautiful Bill that requires that school districts make public their curriculum, but maybe they should make their teachers' policies and the way that they handle children, maybe that needs to be public too, because it sounds like they just slid this in there, right? My goodness.
Yeah, and it's happening like that in secret across the country.
Yeah.
We saw the Supreme Court, though, just in the last session, talking about how in the curriculum context, but even beyond it, that parents have a right to know what's going on in their schools and to direct their kids' education, even within the public schools. So I think we're seeing a movement from the courts, we're seeing a movement from the federal government that's going to protect parents on these issues. And we have parents like the Meads that went through this, that saw how this harmed their daughter. They weren't able to get information from the school at times about what was going on, and then to find out that the school was lying to them. This is something that has to be stopped because it just harms kids, and schools should never be lying to parents or hiding information.
Absolutely, absolutely. What are the politics of Rockford? Is it a liberal area, a conservative area, kind of in the middle?
I think it's trending towards more in the middle.
Okay.
Definitely in the last, probably, I would say maybe 5 to 7 years.
Have you found, and the reason I ask that is because, you know, I think that there are parents across this country who live in safe red areas and they think that this can't happen in their school system, but that's not true, is it?
No, because that's what we thought. We thought, you know, we would hear this on the news and think, oh, thank goodness this is not happening in our school district. And soon after that, we were shocked to find out that it is, and it's happening across the nation.
Yeah. Did your community rally around you? I know you said it's trending to the center, but are there folks in your community who saw the ridiculousness of this and therefore came to your aid and came to your support?
No.
No?
No. There was maybe a handful, 4 or 5 people, but we were pretty shocked at that point when this became public that the community wanted to have really nothing to do with it. They just took I guess that they would probably say a neutral stance, but they weren't outraged at all.
Yeah. My goodness, that's.
I think there's still so much education that needs to happen. People don't believe that this is really happening, or they think there's some misunderstanding. But these schools really are doing these things, treating a kid as if they're the opposite sex and hiding it. And here they were changing records that they were sending home to these parents so they could hide from the parents what they were doing, all during a time when you two were so deeply involved with the school and working so closely with the school to help your daughter. These are involved parents, and still this was going on.
Are you as surprised as I am that there are not whistleblowers within these schools who are saying, hey, this is happening? I have to believe that not 100% of these teachers and staff and faculty and principals are okay with this.
They aren't, and we are starting to see those teachers stand up. And we have several cases representing teachers who are saying, I've been trained to do this, and I don't feel comfortable doing that. I would never want to lie to a parent about what's going on with their kids, especially something as deeply important as their identity.
Heartbreaking, heartbreaking. Dan, there is a very special relationship with daddies and daughters. I have that very special relationship with my dad too. Seeing this happen to your daughter and seeing everything that she's been through, what's her status now?
She's doing so much better.
Yeah.
Pulling her out of the school system, homeschooling her, has given her that space from all that they were exposing her to just process her on her own. Yeah. Like her struggles with her identity, her struggles with just like all teenagers, depression, anxiety,
Sure. Yeah.
Who am I in the world? And we've seen her just academically skyrocket in a program that's designed for the way she learns best.
Wonderful, wonderful. And for you, Mom, I mean, seeing your daughter flourish now has got to mean something.
It is. It's wonderful. In the beginning, it's very difficult. It's heartbreaking to watch your child go through this and struggle, and we are on the other side of it.
Right.
Thankfully,
Yes.
I'm glad to be here. We have some work to do, but that's why we are here today to talk about this, because this really does harm our children.
Absolutely. Jennifer and Dan, thank you for speaking out about this, and Kate, thank you for defending them. You're doing a great job. Loved your organization.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We're going to take a very quick break, and we will be back after these messages. Welcome back, everybody. There were a few things that caught my eye over the last few days in the news cycle, so I want to hit those before we head out for the night. So yesterday, I didn't have to be at the White House yesterday. I was here feverishly working on a story that I have coming out tomorrow. But President Trump apparently decided to walk on the roof of the White House. Many of you have heard about rooftop Koreans in Los Angeles. These were Koreans who were on the roofs of their businesses during the LA riots, and they were defending their businesses. So people have joked about how, in Los Angeles you have the rooftop Koreans, and in Washington you have rooftop Trump, who is defending the nation. So check this out.
Hello, Peter. You're looking good, Peter.
Are you going to move up?
I do. Something beautiful.
What does that mean?
What do you? More ways to spend my money.
Can you give us another thing?
Well, we'll show you. It's just another way to spend my money for the country. Anything I do is financed by me, so you don't have to worry. It's contributed. Just like my salary is contributed, but nobody ever mentions that. What are you trying to build?
What?
Sir, do you approve?
And then, by the way, we cut off the clip too early, but he does a missile action with his arm. It was quite hilarious. Now, something that I was at the White House for was that executive order signing with the LA Olympics chairman, Casey Wasserman, who is a part of a lot of different businesses in Los Angeles. His grandfather is Lou Wasserman, and so he's the heir to Universal and a lot of different organizations. But it is Casey Wasserman who fought really, really hard to get the Olympics to Los Angeles. And by the way, he fought very hard side by side with President Trump during Trump's first term, and that's how they were actually able to get the Olympics to Los Angeles for 2028. So Casey Wasserman was at the White House for this executive order signing, where President Trump put forth a task force to handle the safety and security of the Olympics, because obviously, especially in a city like Los Angeles, that is going to be a huge undertaking. And Casey Wasserman had a very special gift for President Trump. Check it out.
As you know, 1984 hosted the Olympics in Los Angeles, right. And someone we admire, President Reagan, both of us, presided over those, and you will preside over our games. So we have for you a full set of the 84 original medals.
Wow. Can I say that I won them athletically?
Yes, sir.
That would be a great honor.
The mood in the room for that signing was really, really great, including a moment. I should have sent this to my producer. I took a video of it, but President Trump signed the executive order, with the Sharpie, and you can hear it signing it. And he says, "Bam, no auto pen," and everybody just erupted. It was hilarious. Man, Rob, I'm sorry. I should have sent you that clip. Anyway, all right, let's finish off with this one, because Superman is taking on a super new role. Check this out.
For those who don't know, I am a sworn law enforcement officer as well as being a filmmaker. I felt it was important to join with our first responders to help secure the safety of all Americans, not just talk about it. So I joined up. And here's your opportunity to join ICE. You can earn lots of great benefits and pay. They need your help. We need your help to protect our homeland and our families. So check into it, as I said, and join today if it's something that tickles your fancy, because we can use you.
That, of course, was Superman Dean Cain. And ICE is doing something right because they announced 2 days ago, I believe the acting director said they have 78,000 applications in the queue. So a lot of people signing up to protect our country. All right, everybody, we're out of time tonight, but I will